Welcome to Rise and Shine Daily Business Tech Boost with me, Charly Leetham. If you're a small business owner looking to simplify technology and get real, actionable advice from someone with 35 years of IT experience, you're in the right place. Every episode, I'll dive into tools and systems like email, CRM, marketing and tracking, and break them down into bite-sized tips you can use right away. Your time is valuable, so let's get straight to the point. It's time to work smarter, not harder. Rise and Shine. It's your daily dose of business tech inspiration with me, Charly Leetham. Episode number 483 today, and we are going to be talking about the reason why we want to be auditing our website, particularly our WordPress website, on a regular basis. Now, by auditing, I mean actually logging in and checking what plugins have been enabled and checking what theme you're running and making sure that your comments are right and making sure you know what users you have on your website. If you're running a membership site, that last one might be a little bit more tricky, but making sure that everything looks right on your site. And the reason we're going to do that is because there is yet another WordPress scam hack out. So I'm going to talk about that scam and hack, and then I'm going to talk about the things that we can do to make sure that we catch it if it happens. And we'll talk about some of the things you can do to make sure it doesn't happen, of course. But today, I really just want to talk about why I want to give you the reason why you need to be regularly auditing your website. So let's skip across to this article, and then I'll come on back and have a chat to you. Okay, so the article, 1st of May, this one came out. Fake security plugin on WordPress enables remote admin access for attackers. That one just made me go, oh my God, oh no, it's so bad. Now, these aren't the only sorts of things that this isn't the only one that has occurred. I've seen a lot of these across my time. It's just really worthwhile highlighting them, telling you to be concerned, and then advising you and making recommendations that you approach it carefully and do the sorts of things that you can, and the sorts of things you can do to avoid it or catch it if it does happen. Okay, so cybersecurity researchers have shed light on a new campaign targeting WordPress websites or WordPress sites that disguises the malware as a security plugin. The plugin goes by the name WP Anti-Malwariebot.php, comes with a variety of features to maintain access, hide itself from the admin dashboard, and execute remote code. Okay, I'm not going to go through everything it does. It adds in all of this software, all of these files. Now, once it's installed and activated, it provides threat actors administrator access to the dashboard and makes use of the REST API to facilitate remote code execution by injecting malicious PHP code into the site themes header or clearing the caches of popular caching plugins. Look, it does a whole heap of things. It's complemented by a malicious WP cron file, which recreates and reactivates the malware automatically upon the next site visit, should it be removed from the plugins directory. Okay, so what this piece of software does, I can go through all of this. Like I'll link this article. You can read it if you want. There's a whole heap of jargon in there. There's a whole heap of technical stuff in there. But basically what it does is it installs itself. It looks like a fake plugin. It gives itself administrator access. It puts a whole heap of hidden code into your server itself that then allows it to reactivate itself if it's deactivated. So just getting rid of the plugin once it's installed isn't going to be enough. You're going to have to get your server cleaned. You're going to have to go through all of your plugins and all of your WordPress files and make sure that you've got everything out there. Now, the question that I asked myself when I saw this was, well, how is it getting installed? Because the article is very silent on that matter. It doesn't actually talk about how this is installed. Let me come back and have a chat to you guys. Yeah, look, it's actually silent on how that piece of software is installed. From what I can pick up just by looking around and doing some research, it's injected somehow. It's not in a It's not in one of the repositories. It's not like you can go to the repository and download this plugin and install it. It is being installed through some other method. So I imagine that what they're doing is they're finding a hole in the server or your website, using that to as an exploit, uploading the software, getting it installed, and then running it from there. So what can you do to avoid these sorts of things happening to begin with? And then what do you do once it's occurred? To avoid these sorts of things happening in the first place. And look, I need to be upfront. I need to be authentic about this. There is no guarantee that you will 100% avoid these sorts of things happening. You can get that as close to 100% as you possibly can. You can do everything you can to protect yourselves, but please understand that things do go wrong. Things do happen. Sometimes something is just a little slow in updating and bam, you're done. It's nothing you've done. It's nothing your server provider has done. It is just a perfect storm of events that have allowed the situation to occur. I really need to say that, because sometimes you get yourself and you start kicking yourself because I got hacked. And sometimes, well, how did that happen? And oh, my server provider didn't do the right thing, or my website team have let me down. Not necessarily. It could just be that perfect storm of everything lining up just at the right times that it's happened. Okay, that said, you can do as much as you possibly can to protect yourself. Make sure all of your themes and your work plugins and your WordPress installation are up to date. If you've got plugins that are aging and they don't have updates coming out, or they're a little older, get a security review done on them, have a look at them. Maybe, if they're a couple of years old, maybe, I'm not saying that they're going to be a problem, but maybe look at replacing them with something newer that takes into consideration the newer functionality, that does a little bit more protection or has a little bit more protection around it. Maybe not. But if you've definitely got plugins that are older, get their updates done. And they're saying there are updates, get their updates done. If you've got a theme that is older, make sure you get your updates done. If you're coming up to 3 or 4 years and you haven't done an update on your theme and there's no updates coming, or on plugins, potentially get someone just to go through and have a look at the plugins, do a security scan on the plugins and see if there's anything there that comes up. That's a possibility. Um, Make sure your server is updated. Make sure all the PHP updates are done, all the Apache updates, all the SQL updates, all of that underlying software that you guys don't ever interact with directly, but you use it every day when your website runs. Make sure all those patches are done. Make sure your hosting provider is doing the right thing by you and are patching all of that. If you have users on your website, go through and, sorry, you will have a user on your website, at least one, and that's yourself as the administrator. But if you've got multiple users on the website, go through, make sure you recognize who the users are. Make sure you recognize the email addresses those users are using. If they're administrators specifically, make sure you understand who is an administrator on your site and who is an editor on your site and who has those levels of access. And if they don't look right, or they shouldn't have that access, or they've left your team, take them away. Take them off of your site. These are the sorts of places that people actually gain access. One of the biggest things, the biggest point of entry to most of the sites that I've had to go and fix up, is someone has brute forced a password and that user has had admin access, and they've got in on that user and they've just taken it over and installed software and got it running everywhere. It's really quite scary. So please make sure that if you've got someone who's left your team and they have an administrator access, or you've moved service providers and that's old service provider has admin access, delete it. Get rid of it. Don't keep it on there. You don't need it. Give that admin access to someone else who is going to help you out. The same for editors. I mean, basically, you should do it for all of your users, but your admins and your editors are the ones who have a lot of control over your site. Admins are God. Editors can't install plugins and such, but they've still got a lot of control over your site. In terms of your hosting and your server access, make sure you know who's got access to that, who can actually get into the hosting account and make changes there, because they can still get in and upload things using file managers and FTP and all of that. If you're running servers and your hosting provider is running the server for you, make sure that they lock down root access for the SSH. Now, that's not going to mean much to anyone, but it's the terminal that we use to get in to manage the server. Make sure that root access is locked down and people can't log in as root, that they've got to use, and this is all terminology and jargon. Please, if you want advice on what questions to ask, but take what I'm saying here. Ask them that they've locked down root access and that people have to use sudo, SUDO, to access the root functionality. These are all things we do. They layer on top of each other to give us just that little bit of extra security, that little bit of extra protection to stop this sort of thing occurring, or to make this sort of thing harder to enact. They are the words I'm looking for. What happens though if this has happened? Sorry, so I was talking about also auditing. When you go through your plugins, look for things that look strange. Look for plugins that you look at, I don't know what that plugin does. Ask your website team what that plugin does. Is it needed? Your website team are going to hate me for this. They are absolutely going to hate me, because they're going to go, they're asking questions again. It is your website. You are entitled to ask questions. You're entitled to understand what the various things do. Maybe you won't understand the exact thing it does, but asking the question of, is this plugin necessary? Is this plugin doing something? Or is this a plugin that has been installed that you didn't know about, is a good thing. I know that I would roll my eyes when my clients come to me. I love you all. I love all my clients. But I know that sometimes I'm just going to go, and then I'm going to take my deep breath, and I'm going to put my big girl panties on, and I'm going to say, yeah, good on you for taking the initiative for checking out your website. I think that's fantastic. So please be involved. Don't just trust that your team is going to do the right thing. They will do the right thing. Absolutely, you got to trust that they're going to do the right thing. But also don't trust that they're going to do the right thing, and take some initiative for yourself. So just go through and look at the plugins that are on your site and make sure that they look right. Make sure that they look like they should be there. And if you don't recognize something, ask your team. If you're not sure you can disable it and you don't have a team, come and ask someone like myself. I'll happily jump on and have a quick look for you and say, I don't know, we can do this, or maybe it is and maybe it isn't. If you've got plugins that are disabled and they're not enabled, they're just sitting there in your plugins directory, they should absolutely be deleted. If they're not in use, they shouldn't be on your site. It's like old themes. If you've got multiple themes on your site, you should delete everything but the active theme on your site. Now, if you're running child themes, you'll need the two. You'll need the prime theme, and you'll need the parent theme, and you'll need the child theme. So I'm going to be very careful saying just delete everything else. But if you've got multiple themes on your site, they should go. If you've got multiple plugins on your site that aren't being used, they should go. They're all points of ingress into your web server. And the less places that people can access, the better. What do you do if the worst happens and this occurs and it's got all these hidden files throughout your site? First of all, how do you find them? Well, there's a couple of ways. I use WP Defender Pro, and that gives me a report that shows me unknown or suspicious or malicious code. One of the things it does is it tells me what files don't exist in certain folders. These files, I found these files in this folder, they don't look like they exist. Should they be there? It will also go through the code in those files and say, this code looks suspicious. Does it look right? It's one of the reasons I really like WP Defender Pro, the Pro version, not the free version. The Pro version gives you all of this extra stuff. So you can run a scan on it. You can get your server guys to run malware scans. Unfortunately, some of these things are so well hidden and they're so well done, they don't trigger these things, or they don't trigger these things for a while because they've got to update their own signatures. All of the scanning software has their own signature files that they go through and check against. Sometimes they've got to be updated. So sometimes we're just going to be slightly ahead of the curve. These things are going to be sitting there. They might bite you before they're found. The way I deal with these types of hacks when we just don't know whether there's files that have been peppered throughout our file structure. I do a complete reinstall. It sounds drastic, doesn't it? I create a folder, I reinstall WordPress, a clean version of WordPress. I go through each and every theme file. Sorry, I go through the theme file, I scan the theme file, I actually download it, I look at the files in the theme file, I see if there's anything unusual there. I then re-upload the theme file to the new folder. I go through all the plugins. Most of the plugins I will go and download clean versions from either the repositories or from the providers. Now, this is where it gets really interesting. If you are running premium plugins and you need logins and you've got to go to them to get your plugin downloads, make sure you have all of that information in a folder somewhere, in your password manager, in a document that you've got saved off somewhere that only you can access. Because when this sort of thing happens, we need to be able to go and get the clean versions of the plugins, download them and reinstall them. It sounds drastic. We could I've tried going through and cleaning software and I've done a really good job of it, but you're never 100% certain. You're never 100% certain there wasn't something hidden somewhere that you've missed. At least this way, we know we're starting from scratch. Um, it Then we have to go through the database and just make sure there's no hidden users on the database, make sure there's nothing unusual in there, do a quick clean on that. There's little to be done on the database. Most of these hacks, I've got to say that very carefully. Most of these hacks are because they're physical files that are put onto the server, but we do go and look at the database. We do a quick clean on the database. We do a compress. We do a clean tables. And then we bring up the new folder and the new version of WordPress, or the clean version of WordPress, and themes and plugins that we've installed, and cut the site across to that. Then we delete the old one. And by doing that, we remove, I'm being very careful, we have a nearly so close to 100% chance that we've cleaned it perfectly. That's how I do it. Others might not do it that way. It does take a bit of time to do it. It takes a lot of attention to detail to do it, to make sure that we're getting all of the files, to make sure that we've downloaded all of the plugins, to make sure that we've cleaned the theme, to make sure that WordPress is installed correctly, to make sure our database has cut across properly. There's a lot of work involved in it, which is why, what did they say? An ounce of prevention is worth a teaspoon, a pound of cleaning it. I really messed that one up, but I'm sure you get the idea. So these are the things that you need to consider. I don't want to scare you guys. I do want to start highlighting that these sorts of things are out there so that you can be aware of them. You can start to take ownership. You can start to take initiative in protecting yourself, your website, your people, your team, your customers from these types of attacks. All right. That was a kind of a long one. I rabbited on a bit. What do you guys think? Was that helpful? Did you get some things out of it? Do you have an idea of how you can keep yourself a little safer? If you do, please, or even if you have questions, please leave comments wherever you're watching or listening to this video. If you do need help, put a comment on the video, or honestly come across to my locals community, askcharlyleetham.locals.com. You can put up questions there. You can ask for help. You can and that putting those questions up and stuff, I'm not going to be charging you a consulting fee to come and help you out to do all those things. That community is there so that you can do these sorts of things as a business owner. So come across there. You can ask questions. You can put up your own sorts of things that you found to help others out. I'll be there. I will answer questions and respond as I can to them. Well, not even as I can. That's going to be, it's a priority for me to make sure I'm supporting you guys. If you still need help, you can book a free 30-minute consult with me, one per customer, and get me to have a look at these sorts of things. If you have trouble with this, yeah, come and book a consult, and I'll have a look for you. You can also book paid consults, of course. I think my rates are reasonable for people to do this sort of thing. Apart from that, if you got something out of this video, please give it a like. And if you haven't already, please do subscribe to the channel, ring the notification bell, and I will see you guys all tomorrow for the next topic. Bye. Hey there, thanks so much for tuning in to Rise and Shine, your daily business tech boost. I hope today's episode gave you some actionable insights that will make your business tech work smarter for you. If you found value, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with other small business owners who could use a daily boost. For more tips, tools, and resources, visit www.askcharlyleetham.com. Until next time, keep rising, keep shining, and let's make tech simple together.